Semen retention should not be the goal. Now, why do I say this? Semen retention is one of these things that's floating around that's supposed to give men superpowers and vibrate and you become Zeus or something like that. Well, maybe that might be true for you and maybe that might turn into your superpower. But what I wanted to talk about is because I've dabbled with this, I want to give you the real underlying goal behind semen retention that teaches for you so that you can understand if you're struggling to hold it in at times, that it's not the end of the world. Okay, so what should be the goal? Well, what does semen retention teach you? And why is it so important if you do want to become more attractive, if you do want to become more successful because you're not, again, just jerking off all the time? Well, what does it do? It teaches you to look at women instead of just looking at them as sexual objects, looking at them as human beings, as partners, as wives, as girlfriends, as mothers, as daughters. That connection with the opposite, if it's just all about sex and just physical attraction, the lines start to warp. And you see this if you've ever watched porn. You see these things getting more and more extreme, getting into incest and getting into this crazy stuff because it's just physical attraction. They have butts, they have boobs, they have lips, they have curves. Hey, it doesn't matter what they are. It doesn't matter where they're from. It doesn't matter how old they are. It doesn't matter if they're related to you. It gets really gross really fast. And that can stop you because every interaction that you have with women is based off of this sexual charge. So if you can hold your seed in and start to change that relationship, instead of every time you see a woman you ejaculate, you can then start to calm that down and you still have this sexual response, but it's balanced. And women pick up on this. I'm sure you've seen this if you've watched any semen retention videos where you have this balance to your body and you become more attractive. Well, what is the underlying notion that women are picking up on? He doesn't just see me as a sexual object that he just wants to get off to. That, although women want to be seen as sexual objects, they don't just want to be used as sex. They're a human being. They want a protector. They want a connection. They want a lover, not just a sex object. So if you talk to them and you're around them and they can pick up on the fact that, oh, this guy just doesn't want to like use me as a bag of meat. He actually cares about me as a human being. That's attractive to women. And that's felt on a subconscious level. So you might have experienced with semen retention and noticed that. But what I'm trying to talk about with the goal side of things is if you're ejaculating here or there, if your mindset is still on the side of, hey, I'm looking for love, not lust. I'm looking at women as partners, not just sexual fantasies. That, whether you ejaculate or not, if you get your mind to that level, that will be the essence that you come through and communicate with other people, and especially with women. They will feel that, and you will have a much better connection of sex and love with yourself. So for me, if I'm doing semen retention, but yet I'm constantly thinking and looking at women for sex, but I'm just holding it back and I'm white knuckling it. And I'm like, oh man, I really want to, but I'm not going to because they told me I'm not allowed to. That's not healthy either. You're not going to be as attractive to women if that's the state of mind that you're in. If you're just white knuckling it because you were told that you should never ejaculate ever again. If that helps you get into this, again, taking it from lust into love, I'm wearing red for love, right? If you can think about that side of things, if you can get your mind there, you can ejaculate every day if you really want to. I wouldn't suggest it. I think it's healthy not to. I think that if you look up Mantak Chia, and I'll link to some of his stuff, but he talks about what age you are, and he has different charts for, okay, if you're, 16 to 25 or 16 to 20 and 20 to 30 and then 30 to 40, and during different age ranges, how many times you should be or not ejaculating, I guess for us is holding it back. How often is healthy? And when is it okay to release? Well, you'd be surprised at how often it is compared to some of these people like, I haven't ejaculated in 7 years. It's like, whoa. Now, if that works for you, by all means, I'm not saying that shouldn't be the goal for you. What I'm saying is the underlying goal of semen retention, the whole reason why we're doing it is so that we can have a healthier relationship with the opposite sex and we don't look at them as sexual objects. And I'm telling you, you could have just jerked off 2 seconds ago and gone out and be attractive to women that in the past you might have been intimidated by. If you have that mindset of, hey, look, what's your personality like? Who are you as a human being? I don't just want to run and grab you and take you off and do these, these things to you, right? No, I actually want love. I want a partner. And if we end up having sex, great. Hey, that's fine. If we end up having a one-night stand, that's great. But that's not what I'm looking at you as. As a matter of fact, I might respect you and your body better. I might say, you know what? I don't think we should have sex. If you can get that point where a woman comes up to you and says, I want to have sex with you, and you say, no, it's okay, not tonight, or I'll think about it, that's when you know you've reached that stage where semen retention is working on you. And I'm not talking about that because this woman is not attractive to you. I'm saying someone you're attracted to and you can say no to them, that takes strength. That also takes a perspective. And maybe you need to go through a period of 60 days or 90 days or something like that where you don't, just to prove it to yourself that you don't need it, that you can still live life, that's fine. What I'm saying is if you can break through that goal, that's when you get all of these benefits that they're talking about. Now, there's other benefits too. And I think that I would, again, look up Mantak Chia to find out what range you are. And what's interesting about it, he also says some people have high sexuality, some people have lower. If you're someone with higher sexuality, you can ejaculate more times, and it's actually not as bad if you're someone with this lower sexuality. I forget what he calls it, but there's something along those lines. So again, if you're someone who's so hyper-focused on just that one aspect of things and you're not getting the underlying side of things, well, now you know, now you understand what the benefits are, and you can then take that and then make that as your goal. That's something that I struggled with because, again, I've been in situations where if a beautiful woman said to me, all right, we're going to have sex, and I didn't want to, I wouldn't be able to act that out. I wouldn't be able to say no because I was so weak to women. And they controlled me because I worshiped their bodies and I loved everything about them, but I was in lust. It wasn't love of the character and the person and a partner. It was just that sexual act, that release that I was looking for. And if you can bring yourself to the other side where you're looking them at that as a partner, you are so much more attractive. Again, they pick up on that on a subconscious level. You're so much more attractive. But also, what does that do for you in your life? You're not constantly obsessed about sex all the time. You can then, if you don't have sex, you don't look at them like they're this vindictive, crazy thing, right? You can then look at a relationship better. I've been in relationships where the sex was so good and I was so obsessed with it that I was blinded by all the things that the person was doing, the way that they were treating me or other people. That's not healthy. And so that gets people in divorces and that gets people in crazy lives, right? Just this physical thing. So again, if you can make that jump, if you can take time off from ejaculating, you can get to understand a better relationship with it, where it goes from lust into love. That's going to be the superpower that, again, like we talk about with this semen retention, that's going to be the superpower that ends up happening. And you'll start to see the benefits in every area of your life. So again, maybe it should be the goal for you in the short term, but the underlying goal behind it all is, again, to change that lust into love. And I think if you start maybe doing some writing about that, asking yourself what you really want and connecting with that on a daily basis, it won't maybe necessarily matter as much about this holding it in for this extended period of time. Because again, maybe you screw up, maybe you don't, and you think of yourself as a failure. But if you were in the right mindset, maybe you didn't screw up. Maybe it was just a physical release that they got that out of your system and you're like, good. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, anything at all. And again, I'm going to link to Mantak Chia talking about some of these things and the number of times that you can. And again, if you're someone like me who is like, okay, well, I can get away with this, and then it starts getting more and more and more, and you get obsessed with it, and that's all you think about, then you need to start, again, maybe doing a longer retention. Maybe you need to then start to do some more writing and start to get some better goals for yourself and really start to have that conversation and figure out where are you mentally and physically with it. So again, what's the real goal? Changing lust into love. If you can do that through semen retention for 10 days, 30 days, 300 days, to me, at the end of the day, that doesn't matter so much so as that relationship with you and the opposite sex is healthier. That's it for today.